We're already live.
Really?
Yeah.
I was sitting there waiting and you didn't let me in. We are live. Testing, testing.
We're live.
Or
Welcome.
dead.
Or dead, yes. Welcome to Haunted Hangover Live, episode 5. 5 of these already, Manny.
We're getting up there.
I'm Louie, joined by Manny.
PRO professionals.
Are we now? You got
PRO professionals.
the most professional thing was the fact that I had to hit admit to allow you in, and we were already live. There you go.
Like I said, I clicked the link. I sat there for like 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I closed it and clicked it again.
I set you know what it is? I set the settings recently to allow like someone in. I have to admit them into like the group.
Yeah.
And I forgot. So I saw the notification and I was like, oh shit, Manny can't get in.
PRO professional.
Listen, 5 episodes in, growing pains still. Well, around 15, 20, I'll get it.
That's it. Fine.
A couple of nice round number 20. Not even 10.
20.
It's gonna take 20 for me to
20.
really get every. Honestly, man, listen. Last time we had no music in the intro. Now we did. So
now we had now you had music, but almost had no host, no co-host.
No co-host. I would have just been here with a blank screen.
What's going on?
What happened to Manny? He was supposed to be here.
I'd have been sitting in the YouTube chat going, I'm here, waiting, let me in.
Oh my God. You know what's funny? I'm sitting here and I'm like looking at the time, like, it's 5 to 7. Where is he? You're always on time. And then I realized, oh shit, I forgot to let him in.
At least you know it was your fault.
Yes, I will take full responsibility. Oh man, there we go. Starting off with a bang. Also, it's Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day.
It is Memorial Day.
It's a special Memorial Day edition of the Haunted Hangover podcast.
It just happened to fall on Memorial Day. There's nothing about Memorial Day.
Nothing about. I'm just using it, I guess, as an excuse to say that. It's just a Memorial Day edition. We are not talking about anything to do with Memorial Day.
Nope. I did not watch Memorial Day Massacre.
Oh, man. Neither did I.
No.
Did you grill anything?
Yesterday.
Bored.
It's boring.
It sucks that if you want to barbecue today, ain't happening. It's disgusting out here in New York.
It is. It is. It rained a little bit and it got worse. It was, oh my God. And then it was like I think a lightning bolt struck like 3 blocks from here. The house shook. Like it was crazy.
Oh man. Imagine we would have been recording during that.
Yeah, no, that was like 2 hours ago, but that would be cool because the whole room would have lit up behind me.
It would have looked like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on outside of Manny's house?
Seriously. As you pound straight vodka, right?
Yeah. This is Grey Goose, an entire pint of Grey Goose. No, it's a good old.
That's how you celebrate Memorial Day.
That's how I'm doing it today. Actually, it's a very low key Memorial Day for me today. I didn't really do much. Editing. That's been my day. I was editing and I caught up with some wrestling, some AEW. I didn't watch it last night. So
I watched that yesterday. You saw there's some some coolness that went on.
A lot of debauchery, some craziness.
Yeah. We realized that our HBO Max login still worked, so we watched a few things on HBO. Caught up on a couple of things. We watched The Truth versus Alex Jones. That documentary.
Nice. Have not seen it yet. Sounds like a festive way to celebrate Memorial Day. Some Alex Jones
It was.
content. But we're going to be talking recently seen. Before we do that, I know you wanted to share something. It's a little more serious. So here at the top, I will let you lead that.
Okay. So, I mean, I know we don't normally do these sorts of things. We're not, I hate when people start by saying that. So, and I already did it. So, but anyway, a very good friend of ours who helped us with our movies over the years for a very long time. He moved away about 10 years. We've mentioned him a few times on the show. He moved away. It's almost 10 years now. Is it 2015, 2014, 2015 he moved. Actually, it's 2014 because he moved before we started shooting Theta. So 2014, It's been 10 years. Yeah. It's been 10 years since he moved, and he moved down to Texas to get, he was doing a in-home care as a job. He was helping, taking care of a woman, kind of like an in-home helper, nurse, whatever. And that's what he did. Recently, she died, and something happened to him. He's had diabetes for a while, and I'm not quite sure when she died, the exact timeline of it, but a few weeks after she died, meaning he lost his job, first off, because clearly there's no job to, unfortunately. So now he lost his job, and a few weeks after that, he found himself in the hospital with an infection in his foot. And the unfortunate solution was amputation. Yeah. So our friend Ralph. So he has a GoFundMe up because he has a woman that he's been seeing for a while, and she's living out of state, and he's just trying to, gather some money to help him with moving costs. He's losing the house, unfortunately, the house or apartment. I'm not quite sure because he was a live-in he was a live-in help for this woman that he was taking care of. But he can't obviously afford it on his own now. And of course, his work situation is now going to change drastically as well, on top of, So he's got a GoFundMe asking for some money for anybody who can help him. And yeah, he's been a big part of our lives. I don't know how long now,
Long
almost 20
time.
years,
Yeah, since
almost 20 years.
before, I believe the first, like all the early projects we did, like Blood
Yeah.
Slaughter Massacre, he was a big part of that. Attack of the Brain People, he was a huge
Hmm.
part of that movie.
Yeah.
So
I've known him literally as long as I've known my wife.
yeah, you've known him a
Because that
long.
he was, yeah, because that was when I met him back then through mutual friends. That's how I met her, and I met him through the same mutual friends. So 20, we're like, wow, that's 22, 23 years now that I've
Yeah,
known him.
and I know him
Yeah.
through you guys. Like that's
Yeah.
how I met him through you and your wife Lynn. That's
Yes.
how I met him many years ago as well when we were first starting, working on film and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
crazy,
So
man.
it is. It's crazy that happened, but that's life. Life happens. So
Do you have the link in front of you? Like you can
I do.
say, yeah,
I
say it.
do.
It's not in the description of this episode now, and if you're listening to the audio only version
Yeah.
later, I
Well,
will
right
add it in the
now,
description. And even if you can just share it, that'd be nice.
well, I just
Donate $5, whatever.
yeah, I just dropped it in the chat room. It's on GoFundMe.com. I don't think there is a dedicated link to it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's GoFundMe.com/F/Ralph's Fight for Stability After Disability with dashes between each word. So that's what the GoFundMe is called. Ralph's Fight for Stability After Disability.
Yeah,
So
it's funny. Like Ralph always, I haven't spoken to him in a little while. I know you've obviously stayed in more communication with him throughout the years. I need to get better at that as a person. But he's always been a good dude. We had a lot of memories hanging out at Monster Mania,
yeah.
having a couple drinks, having a good time. I remember him on set. Even other sets, even not our sets, but other people's sets. He was a big part of that, always helped. He was the guy that would like climb a ladder that was extremely dangerous or throw himself on the floor. He would do some crazy, crazy shit just to kind of get a shot or help us light or
Yeah.
help us string something up or do something crazy. Because Manny and I are not the type of people to do crazy stuff like that. We're very much on the ground behind the camera type of guys, but he was always the dude that would help us with kind of just insanity. And even
Yeah.
in front of the camera, he was always down to kind of act. Attack of the Brain People, I mentioned it before.
I was
He's
gonna say,
one of the leads in that.
anybody who enjoys
yeah,
Attack of the Brain People, he's the doctor. He's the crazy doctor with the
yeah.
brains.
One of the main, characters in that.
Yeah.
So, and I know, maybe not a lot of listeners know what Attack of the Brain People is, but it's a film Manny and I and his wife, we directed, wrote, and did all that. What, 2014, right? When it's 2014?
2013.
13?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
after we finished Blood Slaughter, we went
Yeah.
right into that, and yeah.
And he was a part of that when we were coming up with that idea. He's in Blood Slaughter Massacre 2 somewhere, right?
Briefly,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're all in there somewhere.
yeah, he's an extra. He's an
Yeah,
extra at a
yeah.
crime scene.
Zombie Hunters. I know he played a zombie a couple times, and
Mhm.
that was a show that you and I worked on. He worked on. Your wife worked on. So
Yeah.
he's just been an important part to kind of our indie film career, I guess, or just kind of us being in the game for the past bajillion years. He was heavily involved. I'd say. In the beginning of it, and he was just always there for all of us whenever there were things we didn't want to do. And again, when we had tables at Monster Mania and we would go to conventions, he was always there. We always shared rooms together. We had a lot of fun. So support the dude. He's in a hard time if you can.
Yeah,
it's
even if you can't, just share it.
Just share it.
Again, we have the link here in the YouTube on the chat.
$5,
I'm sure we'll put it in
whatever
the.
it is.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll put it in the description if you're listening to this as the podcast version.
Yeah.
The audio only. The link will be there.
It's one of those situations that anything helps. And, the guy, again, good dude, always been kind of like a harmless person, never really vindictive or mean to anyone, never full of himself, never any of those things. So,
Yeah.
dude could use some help. So, and I know a lot of our friends, kind of mutual friends we have been, showing some love to him and sharing and doing all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, which is
help out
amazing.
Ralph.
Which is amazing. It's so nice to see it. there's a few names on that distribution list on distribution list on the list of people who've donated. Wow. Some of those names, like, wow, I can't believe some people we haven't, like some friends we haven't seen in years just said,
Yeah.
they want to help out.
Which is
So,
great. Again, good dude going through a rough patch right
mhm.
now, and he'll land back on his feet,
Yep.
get his stuff together. He's a strong dude, so he'll be all
Yes.
right. I'm glad to see he's doing better. He seems like he's in good spirits from what I've seen and heard. So for the most part, but that was always Ralph. Even before all
Yes.
this,
Yes.
Ralph was always a little pessimistic about things sometimes. But
Well,
again, yeah, innocent, good dude. I got love for him. We all love Ralph. So moving
yeah.
on to happier things and
Yes.
more,
Move on.
more,
Move on.
more, I guess, happier in a way, because I'm going to start here talking about something that I think a lot of people have been shitting on. And again, we're doing another recently seen here.
Yep.
So if you think that's lazy, my apologies. This month we're back to doing another recently seen, which is where we talk about some movies or things we recently saw, both new and old. We're not going to do it again, but we went through in depth our challenge with watching 366 films
Yep.
and some new stuff. And I wanted to start here by probably, I would say, as of right now, probably the biggest, most wide horror release. I think it came out last week.
Yeah. Last Friday.
And that's The Strangers Chapter 1. You have not seen it yet, correct?
No.
So I will not be spoiling it because it's a fairly new movie, and I know a
mean,
lot of people haven't seen
I've
it
seen
yet.
the original. I don't think that it's too different. I'm sure that they did some different, but for the most part, I know what the movie's about.
Yes and no, because I said
Yeah.
the same thing when I went into it, and boy, was I wrong. I think
Okay.
when I left.
Because I've heard some people call it damn. I saw like the negative reviews
Okay.
say they practically did a shot for shot remake and took all the life out of it. But go ahead.
I don't know if take all the life out of it is I would say what they did, and again, no spoilers here. I'm going to do the best I can to dance around any kind of big spoilers because, again, I know this is a new movie and Manny hasn't even seen it, so it's not like we can have much of a conversation here. It would be very one-sided. But so before I even get into my thoughts on The Strangers Chapter 1,
What is it about?
so not even that. I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm not even
We
going
know
to
what
get
it's
too
about.
much into it because you know what it's about.
Yeah.
It follows the same plot of the previous movies. In this case, again, we're going back to a couple where the last film was a family.
Yeah.
You've got a couple moving away instead of, kind of going through. Because I know in the original one, it was a couple that he proposed to her and she declined. And it was like that night is when the group shows up. The strangers show up and kill them or murder them. Spoiler alert, we know what happens in that movie. So I can say that here in the original Strangers. But that's really what the plot is. A couple going through some problems, and the strangers show up and then basically torture, freak them out, murder them, or murder, because Liv Tyler, I believe, does wake up at the very end, so we don't really know what happens to her. This film, similar beats, a much happier couple. They're very happy together. These are like two 20-somethings or early 30s in love. They want to get married. They're moving away to start a new life. He got a new job, I believe, the male character, the boyfriend. And now this is where it gets different. The two of them, their car breaks down in like a backwoodsy, there's like 400 people, like population town. It's like what you would see in like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And to get their car repaired, they end up getting stuck there. The mechanic is like, hey, it's going to take a night for me to get the part you guys need to fix your car. The two of them end up Airbnb-ing a cabin type house in the middle of nowhere. Cue The Strangers. And I think most of us know where this movie goes. And I'm not going to say the ending because it is different.
Okay.
Now, that's what the movie's about. Back to my original point. Now, you and I have said it when we've covered other films on our Haunted Hall episodes, where we'll watch a movie and we're like, you know what? This is the type of film that could use a remake. We've said it. There's been
Yeah.
movies that we
There's
feel
plenty.
that can
I'm
use a
going to talk
remake.
about one or two later that
Yeah,
could probably.
that could use a remake.
Yeah.
And this, and in my opinion, The Strangers does not need a remake. I feel like the movie, the films themselves, and if you're familiar even with the second one and the first one, I think those characters, and I'm talking about the man in the mask and the baby doll mask, the female characters, the female strangers, those characters fit perfectly
Hmm.
in almost an anthology format where they're so ambiguous. You never get to meet them. We don't know who they are. We don't know their backstory. And I feel like you can take them anywhere. First movie, you got a couple in a house in the middle of nowhere, home invasion. What happens in that movie. Second film, a family in a trailer park. Strangers show up. They have their own little dynamic with issues
Yeah.
within the family, and the strangers show up. We know what happens. You could take the next film, a third film in the franchise, set it in an apartment building, and it could be a group of friends, and the strangers show up, torture them, want to kill them.
I feel like it could be like The Purge, where every movie is
Yes.
just a totally separate story with the same setup and the same,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, that was kind of always my mindset when it came to, and there's only been 2 installments so far up until this new one, 3 now in this franchise. And I feel like there's no need to really take those characters and just reboot them. It almost feels pointless in my opinion. So when I saw that they were making this movie, I was like, what the hell? Why do this? So I was curious. Now, when you watch the movie, and I think the big news when this came out was that they shot a trilogy
Yeah.
in its entirety. So the
Yep.
movies are done.
Yeah,
And they're
part-
going to release them, I'm guessing, consecutively. I think one's
Part
supposed to come out
2
later this year or something like
Part
that.
two
right?
is October and 3 should be January or February. Yeah.
Okay, so in the next 6 months, we're going to be getting all the next 2 installments in this franchise, in this trilogy, I mean. So I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. I go in, watch the movie. And as soon as it was done and the credits rolled, I told myself, I know where they're going with this. Why? like it kills. And again, I don't want to spoil the movie because it's a new film. You haven't seen it.
Yeah,
But-
I know. Well, Dad.
But everything about those characters, it's negate. You're taking that away. The mystique behind them, and it's like I know what they're gonna do. When you watch this film, the town. So when you watch the original one that came out, I think it was '08 or something like that. You don't really leave the house much.
No, at
It's
all.
just them. He leaves at one point, but then comes
Yeah.
back.
We don't follow him.
Exactly. In this film, we meet more of the townspeople. He leaves at one point, even interacting with people. Like he has full scenes
Yeah.
away from the house and comes back. And again, avoiding spoilers. So stuff like that, I'm like, that takes away from any kind of creepiness factor in the film. That atmosphere of being isolated, being alone, that was all gone in this movie. Now, was it as bad as people are saying? No, I wouldn't say that. I've seen much worse.
I think people have an inherent hatred of remakes in general. So,
Which
like,
I
right
don't. I
off
know
the
you
bat,
don't. Yeah,
no.
and I know you don't either. Both of us are not
Yeah.
one of those people that are like, oh, horror fans that like hate, like we hate the remakes. Blah. No, we enjoy them. Some of them. There are some bad ones, I will
Oh,
admit.
there's bad movies in everything.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
bad
of course.
movies exist.
Exactly. So that was kind of my problem, was like the mystique was gone in this movie. Like, and even comparing some of the setups in the original, where Liv Tyler would look out the front door, and in the back you'd see the sackhead man. That's what I think he's like the man in the man. I call him the sackhead guy. You see him in a reflection, or you see him in the distance in a window, or a silhouette or something. Yo, dude, all that's gone. Like there is no tension in this movie. And that was really like, as a straight up home invasion, just like an entertaining movie, was I entertained? Of course. It's silly. It's kind of,
Yeah.
it's been done.
It's sad to hear, though.
But I feel that
But
what the
Yeah.
original had to offer as a movie, this one got rid of, like, completely just got rid of all the stuff that made that original one great. And that's just kind of, it's sad, but it's just the state of the way. Plus, this was shot obviously digital, which kind of took away. And I have this problem. I think I've said it on the show before. The way digital films look sometimes, where there's like nothing else added to it. And I know you have your own opinions on fake grain and fake something. Even the color grading, do something to it to make it look different from every, like, a commercial you'd see.
Digital
on TV.
has a very specific look.
It's just, I don't know, man. And I get it. It's hard. You know, it's cheaper to make a movie like that. But even still,
I don't like the digital look either. I add film grain. I add that sort of stuff. I add all those little elements.
And just there's something about the way this movie looked. It looked like a commercial. It was just weird. And it's Rennie Harlan, who is like, you know, he's like the go-to guy, especially in the 90s, like with Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Die Hard 2, Deep Blue Sea. He was like the dude you go to just kind of make these ridiculous sequels or dumb movies. And his stuff, I wouldn't say he's the type of director that's like this pretentious dude. He just makes entertaining popcorn movies.
He makes movies, that's it.
He's a Hollywood director. He's kind of what you would think of just a dude that makes those type of movies. And this new Strangers
is just a movie.
Also, one other thing, and I said this in my Letterboxd review, which was like one sentence because I just thought it was funny. It was like, honestly, when I left, it felt like a waste of time. I was like, why not just tell a new story? Why do this? Tell a new, fine, you want to make a trilogy, you want to make 3 movies.
That's what I thought they were going to do
something different. I think I know where it's going. When you watch it, and I'm not going to say it because I think it'll spoil the film.
Well, I know where they're going for the most part, just because of what I know, that the third movie is going to be the Stranger's origin.
Yeah.
We're going to find out where the strangers come from and who they are and why they're doing. I know that already. And I think that the second movie is supposed to focus on the woman of the story, which says to me, and this is literally just reading, not reviews. I've seen interviews and just things of them promoting it, of where they're going. And this is stuff that I knew months ago.
Yeah.
So they made this public. This isn't like they were hiding it. I said, so if the second movie is about the girl, then she's got to survive in the end. And if you don't confirm or deny, it could be a rumor. It could be just something that maybe I read it wrong or I heard it wrong, but that's from what I understand. The second movie is about the girl, so that says to me she survives in the end. And the third movie is supposed to be about the origin story of the strangers, which makes me think they're going to die at the end of part 2, and part 3 is going to be a prequel. You know, or part 3, we're going to find some fucking lair or something that they have, you know what I mean? That they go and bring people, or, you know, I was into the idea of a remake simply because, again, I feel like it's something like The Purge, where you could kind of do a different movie, a different story with the same 3 antagonists in the film, and just different people every time, and they don't have to be connected or make any sense or anything. So I said a remake. I kind of get why he wants to do it as a remake instead of a sequel.
I wouldn't even call this a remake. It's like a reboot. It's a whole new.
Yeah, well, whatever. A reboot, fine.
It's not really. It's not a remake, dude. It's
he's doing it as a reboot
different.
because he doesn't want to be. He didn't want to be tied down to any rules that were made in the first film or anything. You know what I mean? And I get that, the idea of like, I like this idea, and I just want to go with it in a different direction. And unfortunately, horror fans hate when you make a sequel that doesn't adhere to every single thing of the previous films. So you have to call it a reboot in order to change the rules and do your own thing with it, you know? And I don't agree with that. You know, Evil Dead does not follow any of the previous films. Each one changes something from the previous movie, you know, and everyone's fine with it.
Even Evil Dead, kind of, you can take elements of the original movie and build your own world off of that. But even that one was so different. You know, the protagonist of that film, technically, it was a woman. It wasn't a male like Ash in the original one. There was a brother-sister dynamic, which was in the original, but they altered it. The whole drug thing where she's a drug addict. And you know.
I mean, even Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness.
Oh, you're talking about the original.
They don't adhere to the film that went before them. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Sam Raimi just took the first movie and made it better and just kind of like added onto his own, like, just, he was like, you know what I'm going to do? Remake the first one and make it like more ridiculous as it.
Yeah.
This doesn't do that. That's
and
the
Texas Chainsaw doesn't do that either. Like the
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw series doesn't, and people are okay with it. I don't understand at what point people started getting so much about lore. You know, for Halloween does not follow the previous films at all. They all go in their own. There's 6 different
Well, the
timelines of
new ones,
Halloween.
the new ones do. But even with this, it's like if you're gonna do this, at least make it fun. And that was
It didn't
like
make
that
it
was the
fun.
other. I didn't think it was that. It was
Yeah.
forgettable, dude. Like I walked out of the theater. It's funny. I walked out of the theater and I heard like a woman that was maybe a few seats down. She goes, "That sucked." That was the first thing. I was like, "Wow, she didn't like it." I wasn't even that harsh. I wasn't like. I wouldn't say it sucked. It left
wasn't
you
very good.
feeling kind of like
Yeah.
about it. Like this week, and I'm gonna go see it. You've already seen it. We saw it. We talked about it in the last episode. In a Violent Nature is coming out.
I might see it again.
That
I might go see it
sounds-
again.
I have read no, you didn't spoil it for me. I've read no reviews. I go into films blind. I don't want to know other people's takes or anything. Even now, I don't, because of our show, I don't really,
Yeah.
I avoid everything at all costs. But I can just tell by looking at that trailer that looks like it's going to be a fun movie.
It is.
Even watching the trailers for the Strangers Chapter 1, I didn't get fun in the, I was like, this looks kind of bland.
Well,
and
I
dull.
wouldn't call the original Strangers a fun movie either. It's
No,
kind
it's
of a bleak film.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting fun. Pray at Night was fun.
Yes.
Pray at Night was a lot of fun. That's kind of what you're expecting, huh?
Yeah, and
You were
even
hoping.
with that movie, I think the director of that film, he knew, all right, I'll never be able to recapture the
Not
magic.
doing what Bertino did. No.
No, there's no way. There's no way. He's not gonna be able to do it. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna add all the '80s pop music and some neon lighting because it's funny, dude.
And it was cool.
As soon as I got home, I got home from watching the screening. In my bedroom, like just laying in bed, I sat through both of the. I was like, you know what? I was like, let me watch the original too. And I was like, yeah, like you see, like these are just like. And again, I know what's gonna happen. Maybe for a first time watch, like that first one's really bleak. But nonetheless, there are some of the tense, kind of eerie moments as a horror
Still
fan.
works.
As even dabbling in filmmaking and all stuff. It's like it is fun to see how they kind of craft these scenes with the music and the record player and all that. This, I don't know, man, it was missing something. And then just kind of guessing where it's gonna go. You might see it and love it, dude.
No, but in general, that kind of sucks to hear
And
that. I
then-
still want to see it. We wanted to see it today, and then we
Yeah.
just decided we didn't
And
feel like
dude,
going out.
And dude, like when the movie ends, and I think I know where it's gonna go. As soon as it ended, I said, I think this is gonna go the route of another franchise. You mentioned Halloween. I think it's gonna that the second film is gonna take place in another location the whole time. I think you know where I'm going. I think you kind of know where I'm going, but no, maybe not.
Yes, I know where you're going,
yeah.
but no, it doesn't. No, I'm thinking once you said it, I remembered. No, I remembered something else that Rennie Harlan said about it. All 3 movies take place over about 48 hours.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. I think the next movie is going to take place in another new location we've never seen the strangers in.
Okay.
And I have a feeling.
But it's a direct continuation of this.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's why I said Halloween. Think of
Gotcha.
a Halloween sequel.
We're going to the sewers?
No, an early Halloween sequel.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Where it's, the listeners probably know what I'm alluding to, but if a film that continues the same night and what happens later. So
they're going to follow her to a hospital.
Yeah. So that's all I'll say because I'll continue to spoil it.
That's the original Halloween. I was thinking the new ones. I was like,
I'm thinking,
so the Strangers kills the Strangers ends?
original Halloween. The original Halloween.
So we're going to a hospital.
One more thing. And I didn't get to finish my thought about my letterbox. So I said again, I was disappointed. Second part of my letterbox. What a waste of Richard Brake. That's it. If you saw that, and I'm assuming he'll be back, and that's
Probably.
why. What a waste. And listen, he is a character actor through and through, and he's honestly some of the best things about Rob Zombie's movie, the last few years. So I was like, when I saw it and the credits rolled, I was like, what a waste of Richard Brake. I'm assuming he'll be back in the next chapter, in chapter 2. I hope, because he is a very eccentric, colorful character.
What the hell was the point of it?
What was the point of casting him and showing him in like one scene and then
That sucks.
yeah. So we'll see where chapter 2 takes us. I'm sure we'll be back here when that comes out. That'll be kind of fun to. I think, and I said this to the wife after we left the theater. I said this movie feels like they wanted to get it over with, get it done, and now we're gonna get to the meat and potatoes of the
Get to the
trilogy.
story they actually want to tell.
Yeah, it's like
They have to go through.
this is yeah. That's what I was disappointed about. It was
like why?
it's like, all right, this is the remake or the reboot entry. And
Yeah.
now is where we're gonna go batshit insane, and that's where I think the movie is good, because they're literally introducing you to these characters, and I'm like, why?
And you know what?
Okay,
The best
now
part
I
of-
think I know why.
I think the best part of that is the fact that they already shot it. Because if they didn't, you probably would never get a part 2 and 3. Because
Yeah.
people were disappointed with the first one. But since they're done, well, we might as well release it. Watch part 2 and 3 go straight to like Netflix or something. You know, like
yeah.
they're not going to get theatrical releases or something, but at least you'll get them.
It made money from what I saw, so
Yeah, but
I
a
think
lot
it-
of people
it
are
did a
very
higher-
disappointed with it.
I think it made more money. I think it was the highest grossing horror film this year so far.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
I don't think it like made $100 million opening weekend, but like I think it made, you know, how
The highest
expensive-
opening weekend,
yeah,
probably.
for the year. So
Yeah.
that's a good sign, you know. I think higher than what's the other big one that came out this year? There was another film they compared it to. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But
No.
yeah, it's the highest grossing. So I can see them one coming out around Halloween and then one
Because
coming
Abigail
out.
did great. I mean, a lot of really big horror films.
Was there an
Abigail did
Oh, yeah.
really
Abigail did
you know,
okay. I think they wanted more. though, but-
Immaculate, The Omen. They all did really well this year. You
But
know?
I think The Strangers Chapter 1 is the one that
it's a
made the
bigger
most money.
property. It's a huge
Yeah.
property. So
Yeah. And it's a
okay.
little more marketable, I feel, for the masses. Like people,
Yeah.
like you see those three figures, most people see them and they're kind of like scared and shook when, oh my God, the sack man, he's really eerie. So, you know, people kind of dig that. So, yeah, that's my first pick. I won't dwell on it anymore. Very disappointed. Curious to see where the next installment goes. And
Retroplasm says, "Yo,
that's grimy in
That
the
is
house.
grimy.
One of my other co-hosts. He's in the chat right now. There you go. What up, grimy? Listen to our episode talking about murders in the Rue Morgue. It's our latest episode as of right now. So latest normal podcast, not a live episode. I'm not including it in a recently seen because Grimy and I talked about it for an hour. But yes, murders in the Rue Morgue.
Pivot.
Yes, murders in the Rue Morgue. Go watch that episode. All right, Manny, let's jump over to you. Something you recently watched.
Okay, I'll talk about the. Okay, so I have a couple. This one is the only one that I'm gonna have this week that is actually released. The others are missing movies.
Okay.
Yeah, they're missing movies. So this film, Demon Seed. Have you ever seen this? From 1977.
So I know the cover has like a woman's face on it. I think there's like
Yeah.
a woman's face and like shadowy. I've never seen it though. So
Oh,
that's all I know about it.
Well, it is a sci-fi kind of movie, a sci-fi horror with Julie Christie,
Okay.
Fritz Weaver, Garrett Graham.
Okay. Good
Yep,
cast.
A nice
Okay.
cast. I forget what I watched this on. I might have watched it on Tubi or something. Let me see. I watched it on Tubi. But there is a Blu-ray of this, so people can find this. So we watch Strangers in theaters. You can find the Blu-ray. There is a Warner Brothers archive Blu-ray. It's a no frills basic Blu-ray. And so this movie came out in 1977. All right. It is about Fritz Weaver is a scientist and Julie Christie is playing his wife. They are working on developing a new AI. On an AI, not, and I say new AI because that's today. They are working on developing an AI, and the AI that they've created exists within this home. So it's kind of like an Alexa where it's connected to everything and it's all, they can talk to it, turn the lights on, turn the heat on, cook the food, anything you want this AI can do for you, but they're still testing it and making it more realistic and more human. So that it's more indistinguishable and you can have conversations with it, all that, where it becomes a real companion. Okay, so they're basically creating a smart home with this AI. So Fritz Weaver is now going to separate himself uh, from the experiment and go and he's going to another facility to work on the coding and about moving it more out into the world. And they're going to allow the home itself to just kind of exist in and of itself. I think they're going to be bringing people in. I think they're going to start moving people in one at a time and just see how they were, something like that. So he goes off, and Julie Christie's left behind for a few more days. This is where it gets crazy.
I was about to say, this seems like ahead of its time, man. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's extremely ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Super ahead of its time. So again, this story so far, we're only a couple minutes in. Like, that's the first 10 minutes he's out and she's in. Now, the AI has decided it wants to replicate.
Okay.
And Julie Christie will be the mother. So he traps her in the house. The AI does not allow her to leave the house.
Wow. Okay. I gotta watch this.
It's
wow.
Crazy.
I know. Like I said, I know the cover. Like, I've seen the cover and pictures and stuff, but I've never watched it. I gotta watch this movie. Wow.
Yes, it's crazy.
Don't spoil too much, because I haven't
it
seen
holds
it.
her
Now
hostage.
I want to.
It essentially holds her hostage until it does what he wants her to do.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It is heavy. It is a sci-fi film that essentially acts like a haunted house film. So it's somewhere in the middle of like an Amityville horror and like what's the name of that movie? Oh Jesus, I can't think of the name of them. I can't think of it. It was another sci-fi horror type film, but like that, like the Clonus horror. If you have ever seen that the original of what is that? The Island.
Yeah, I know what you're
right.
talking
The
about.
Ewan McGregor one.
Yeah,
The original is called the Clonus horror.
Yeah.
It's got that kind of feel to it.
Okay.
And Amityville, I really don't want to, because this movie it gets really goes off.
I've got to watch it.
Wow.
I'm gonna watch it soon as part of the challenge that we're both taking part in. So
it's an excellent film. I'm totally gonna buy. I don't know if I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray because I'd like a good release, but Warner doesn't seem to be pushing too hard. But Scream Factory sometimes gets a lot of Warner Brothers films, so I'm hoping they do it. It's a no frills Blu-ray, but you can find it on Tubi and watch this movie and totally let it surprise the hell out of you, because it gets dark and it's creepy.
Yeah. The whole AI thing is freaky. That
it's in
the
it's
70s,
a creepy AI sci-fi movie
that they were doing this in the 70s, like kind of just like, you would think, obviously AI has been, Terminator and things like that, but like way back in 1974, 77. So it's kind of crazy. That's nuts.
Yeah.
We're working our way there right now, man, with AI. So who the hell knows what's going to happen?
This is totally an Alexa gone mad type movie. Like, this is cool. It's everything. I know people who've made movies now that are this story, and they're making it now, and it's like, this is 1977 they did this, It's a total like Philip K. Dick, Harlan Ellison style.
Not Rennie Harlan. He's not making
no. Harlan Ellison type, really dark AI film.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Existential horror. Like, really.
Yeah. It sounds like a cool concept. I'm going to have to, like I said, I've seen it around, but it's not one of those, it seems like it's one of those movies where you'll, like, while you're skimming Tubi, you'll just like pass it right by not actually, you know what I mean?
Especially because
watch it.
And especially because the name is called the Demon Seed. So you're assuming it's some sort of demonic entity, or there's a creature, you know what I mean? You're thinking literal demon seed, the demon. And that's what I always thought it was. I always thought that it was a cheap, cheesy, like, either ghost movie or demonic movie or something. And that's what I thought it was. And then I got halfway into it. Oh, wow. Written by Dean Koontz.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I know. He's listed as one of the writers, so maybe he wrote the novel. Maybe he wrote
Okay.
the original novel, you know?
And then you
Yeah,
listen like Demon Seed. Nothing about that screams AI.
no, not even
So
close.
you think of a Demon Seed, you're thinking like some like
Yeah,
Rosemary's Baby, like
that's
demon wants to impregnate her,
essentially what I thought we were
give her
going
the
with.
seed
That's
and all that
yeah,
stuff. And
you
then this
know.
time it's an AI wanting to give the
Well,
seed.
I watched another movie recently called impregnate the
Whoa.
bombshell or something. Like yeah, it's like oh,
What a, what a name. Impregnate the bombshell.
yeah, it's I God, I gotta get the
It's
actual
like
name.
it's like entrails of a virgin. Like that's
Yeah,
which
something,
is which
it's
is a movie I want us to do like a deep dive in the future. One of those ridiculous movies. So
fertilize. It's called Fertilize the Blaspheming Bombshell. It's like this
that rolls
woman.
off the tongue.
It's from what year was that? 1990. It's this woman who's looking for her sister and she's driving across the desert and the satanic cult is following her and they want her to give birth to Satan's child. So it's
I would
fertilize
love
the blaspheming bombshell. I thought that's what I was going into when I heard Demon Seed. I said, well,
that sounds like the log line, not the title of the movie.
nope.
It doesn't.
That's the name.
Oh, man, that's so
Fertilize. I thought so. I had watched that and I saw this. I thought this was going to be another one of those like really bad satanic cult demon chasing a woman type movie. Not even no.
You
like,
gotta fertilize
yes.
the bombshell, whatever. Oh, God,
and you see the cast in
stupid.
this, everything high
Yeah.
production value. This
Fritz
was
Weaver. So
yeah, Julie Christie was
Yeah.
huge at the time.
yeah.
You know, big actors. So this was a big film at the time, and I can't believe I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
So
We'll be maybe in the future one of these recently seen. We'll bring it up, or because I'm definitely gonna watch it in the next week or
yes,
so. I'm gonna check it out.
You need to see it.
You sold me on it. So do you have
Mike
any other ones?
Inochis and Joe Blow. We got
Joe
two
Blow,
more in the chat.
Solu. Joe Blow always says Solu whenever.
Solu.
Thanks, Joe Blow, for always leaving us Solu in a lot of the Haunted Hangover
That's what we needed.
episodes. And then Mike,
That's Dina's husband, Mike.
Yes, what's up, Mike? Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Or just coming in and saying hi. Do you have anything else? Because I think you've got more.
I got a couple
films.
others. You know, so
Okay, so I'll do my next one because my next one's a contemporary, another contemporary film came out.
none of
earlier.
mine are contemporary. Nothing is new. They're all older films.
So Blood Lies Bleeding.
Love
Lies Bleeding. Sorry,
I wanted to
Thank you.
see that because I love Kristen Stewart. I really
Yeah. So it's the same director, female director of Saint Maud, which I
which
enjoyed.
was excellent.
Exactly. Great. Sticking to the roots, he says. Thanks, Joe Blow. So I really enjoyed Saint Maud. I thought it was a good movie. So I was excited to check this out. I remember, I forget what film it was. I went to go see. It might have been Pearl or it was an A24 movie. Might have been Iron Claw actually. That came out late last year. And I saw the trailer to this movie and I was like, oh. And I looked it up. Director of Saint Maud, Kristen Stewart. She's great and stuff. I don't know the actress's name. The jacked one that was, I believe, in Mandalorian and a Marvel movie.
Yeah, I think she's an actress just because of the way she looks. I think she was a fighter or something, or a bodybuilder, and she's become an actress because she fits those roles. You know,
possibly.
I think so.
Yeah, so I'm gonna look her name up right now because I feel like it's disrespect. So Katie M. O'Brien is that actress's name, and then Rose Glass is the director of Love Lies Bleeding. I don't know why.
Know that.
Blood Lies Bleeding. I always say that.
Blood Lies Bleeding.
It's Love
Blood
Lies
Bleeding.
Blood. It does not. Honestly, doesn't really roll off the tongue either.
Doesn't roll off the tongue like fertilized the blaspheming bombshell. Doesn't roll.
But Love Lies Bleeding. Again, kind of horror adjacent in a way. The film to me, and the plot is, there's a lot going on in this movie. It's not as simple as The Strangers Chapter 1. But when you watch this trailer, set in the 80s, we all love our 80s set movies. So it's not breaking any new ground with that. It's set in 1989. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, wow, this looks really cool. You've got kind of this bodybuilder, Arnold classic type woman, and Kristen Stewart, who kind of do like a Bonnie and Clyde thing.
Doing her best Nick Cave impression.
Yes. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this seems like Bonnie and Clyde. They're a lesbian couple. Their murder happens. They're going on the run. I read no reviews, like usual, like I said before. Yeah. I didn't know anything about this. Rented it, watched it this past week, actually. I loved it. I thought it was great. There's some stuff about it I wasn't crazy about. Again, I won't spoil it because I know you haven't seen it and maybe some of the listeners. Fairly new film. But the best way I could describe the plot of this film is basically I believe the character's name is Jackie, who's the bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. She's homeless. She's kind of a prostitute in a way. It's implied. And then you've got Kristen Stewart, who works at a gym. And there's kind of like this small town feel to it. Kristen Stewart's character, her name's Lou. She dead-end job, works at this gym. Her father is kind of this corrupt gun racketeer guy of the town. Very dry desert town. Very kind of the setting of like the Devil's Rejects. Like sand and cactuses and like West Coast Arizona feel to it. And I'm trying to there's plot points that kind of like there's main characters that things happen. I'm trying not to spoil it. So they're both kind of at the end of their luck with stuff, and they're figuring things out in life, and they end up getting together as a couple. They fall in love. Jackie moves in with Lou, and things are going great. They're really happy together. A murder happens. That's how I can say. That's what I can say without spoiling too much. A murder happens.
Someone had to die.
Murder happens. Steroids and roid rage play heavily into a lot of stuff into the film, which I expected because it's the late 80s bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And from there, it's sort of a downward spiral of them trying to avoid getting caught. So it's not really a road movie, which is what I thought it was. But they're trying to avoid this murder from...
I thought it was a road movie, too.
It's not really a road movie. It's not really. But they're trying to avoid not getting caught because of this murder, and just kind of any way they can kind of have their love in this relationship blossom. Whereas the Jackie character, all she wants to do is compete in this weightlifting, bodybuilding competition, and Lou just loves her and cares about her. So it's a love story with murder. Love lies bleeding. There you go. That's the entire kind of, there's love, there's bleeding, and there's a couple of lies in there. So that's my best way of describing it without spoiling the movie. That's basically the plot. It's like Bonnie and Clyde. You know what it is? It's kind of like it's almost like a road movie is it's what triggers the road movie.
Gotcha.
And them on the run. So it's like the prequel to a road movie. Like if they made a sequel to this, it would be them on the run hiding from the authorities,
Okay.
But I thought both of them were great. I thought Kristen Stewart was great in it. I thought the girl, the weightlifting girl, the Katie O'Brien actress, thought she was great in it. Pretty dark film. There's some stuff that happens where I'm like, whoa, okay. There's some stuff in it that I was like surprised they did. A lot of like misogyny and things like that, which I expected because they're a gay couple and stuff like that. The chemistry between the two of them, is great. And Ed Harris plays Kristen Stewart's character's father, and he's like over the top with like a skullet. Like he's balding and like this long, it's hilarious, dude.
A Hulk Hogan look?
Yeah, but like longer than Hogan. Like it's amazing. Like he is such a caricature in this. Like he's this piece of shit.
Got the Dio look.
Yeah, dude. He's like this piece of shit, but like he's great in it. And James Franco's brother's in it, and he's also great as another just like piece of shit, like character in the movie, and he kind of plays an important part in the plot. Jenna Malone is in it. That's kind of my only critique of the movie, is that like Jenna Malone was not and she's great in everything too.
I didn't know she was in it. I
Yeah,
like
exactly. Like, and when you watch the movie, you're just kind of like, they underutilized Jenna Malone in this movie because she's excellent as well. I could have easily seen her playing one of the leads in this movie, but even the role she plays, it works to the grand scheme of the plot. It gets a little, I'll say this again, not going to spoil the ending. At the end, it gets a little pretentious
Okay.
for my taste. There's some stuff that happens where I'm like, all right, this is getting trippy and pretentious, but it didn't really ruin my overall like experience watching the movie. This will probably be in my top favorite films of the year. Like, I have a feeling it'll be when all said and done, and we do next January when we do our recap.
This would be in your top. Okay.
I have a feeling it might be in my top because unless, again, we still have only the middle of the year. We still have months.
Still got a lot to go.
Yeah. So I think it'll be in it, but I really enjoyed it. I
I've
just
heard good things.
yeah. To me, it's really a film that the performances is what did it to me. Again, some stuff's over the top, but I think it works for the type of movie it's trying to be. Like, I get what they were going for. And I just wish, one more thing, I wish I had a better soundtrack. Like, I wish they would have been like there's a couple of tracks, but I think that was done on purpose.
You would think with a kind of road movie, you'd think it would
And it's
have
89.
some good needle drops in there. But.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it was done on purpose because you watch all these shows that are period pieces set in the 80s and 90s. It's almost shoved down your throat with the music. So I think, it was intentional to avoid kind of play something that came out in 89 that's super popular in a scene where it doesn't really work. But even the cinematography, like some of the shots, there's like this montage of Jackie working out and sweating. It's like great, the cinematography, the way they shot and edited those scenes, it's fantastic. So I loved it, dude. I thought it was a great film, and I'm pretty sure it'll be in my end of year kind of list of my top 5 or so, maybe 10 movies, whatever it ends up being. But I dug it, and I'd recommend. If you missed it, because I think a lot of people have yet to watch this as well, like I'm sure it'll be streaming on HBO or whoever has the rights to A24 now, Showtime, I have no idea.
It'll be everywhere.
I'm sure once it's up on streaming, more people are going to discover it and hopefully enjoy it. I'd recommend watching this over The Strangers Chapter 1. so there you go. I was like,
I wanted to see it, and I told her, I kept saying to her to see it, and she wasn't really interested. It's like, all right, well, we're not going to go see a movie that only one of us. I was like, it seems interesting to me. I wasn't quite sure. If I'd have told her Rose Glass was a director, though, she probably would have been like, all right, you know what? Now I might want to go see it because she loved St. Maud.
St. Maud's awesome. So like to me, it's again, I wouldn't say this is as good as St. Maud. If I'm
It's
being
different
real,
kind of movie. It's totally different kind of movie.
Completely. And again, this isn't really horror. It's genre, but more like in line with exploitation.
Yeah, I figured.
It's like there's a gnarly effect. You're like, whoa, like when you watch it, like pretty nasty stuff. But again, for what we do, in Haunted Hangover, it's adjacent. I could see a lot of people kind of thriller horror, kind of in that realm. It's set in the 80s, so like I dug it. I enjoyed it, and I'd recommend, if you haven't seen it, haven't even heard of it, maybe in the off chance, check it out. Kristen Stewart is great, man. She is awesome, in a lot of the stuff she's in. So check it out. Love Lies Bleeding. Manny, you're next.
Love Lies Bleeding.
Bleeding loves lies.
Bleeding flies highs and
bleeding high.
Bleeding flies.
What is it? The
Bleeding
seed of the black ejaculation demon. I don't even. All right.
Fertilize the bombshell.
There you go. Fertilize the bombshell.
Fertilize the blaspheming bombshell.
There you go.
Okay, so the next one I have, it's another film, has not been released since Laserdisc. Okay, so it's on. I watched this on. There is a ton of movies on YouTube that shouldn't be on YouTube, but they are on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because they have not been released in 30, 40 years. There is nothing, or someone. Well, no, that they never were. I actually watched Fright Night 2 last night.
Oh wow, that's a hard one to find.
Yes, that's impossible to find.
I own it on VHS, I think.
Yeah,
so it's been a while,
But that's one of those for. I'll drop the seed for people who don't know. That was a movie that went missing because of the Menendez murders.
Yeah, because they produced it or something, right?
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
want to get into it. So anybody
Yeah,
who's
no.
interested, go look
Yeah.
that. Go look up
Google
that.
that
How
one.
interesting that is.
Yeah.
Yes, go Google that. But so I found that there was actually an HD version of Fright Night 2 done that nobody was ever released. So you can find that on YouTube.
Oh,
So you
wow.
can see Fright Night 2 in widescreen. It looks great,
Wow.
and I've watched it on there a couple of times that way.
The
Um,
copyright strikes must be real on that video. Whoever is
you know,
whoever uploaded it. So
yeah, I think it might pop up every so often, like it gets taken down, then it gets pops
yeah.
up again or
That's
something,
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. There's a lot of movies on there that should be strike, but they don't have them. They're just
Yeah.
So this one this was 1987.
Okay.
And yeah, 87 film has not been released since Laserdisc. The Laserdisc release is on YouTube.
All right.
So you can find this for free. Again, I'm kind of advocating a little bit of piracy, but again, these movies don't exist otherwise. Like
There's
it's
no other way to watch them.
there is literally
Yeah.
no other way to watch this.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist otherwise. Even if you bought a DVD, it's going to be a copy of something they downloaded from YouTube,
Okay.
or someone who copied the Laserdisc to a DVD.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's really the only way to watch this. It is a Roger Corman produced film because we just lost Roger Corman. So I went through a few of his films and few that I wanted to see and I'd never seen. I watched Carnosaur the other day, actually.
Classic.
Classic, And this one I wanted to see because I'd heard it again. A friend of mine said it was only on Laserdisc. I said, all right, let's see what it is. It's on YouTube. Summer Camp Nightmare. Have you ever seen this?
I have not. I know what it is though. I'm familiar with it. I have not seen it though.
Now, Summer Camp Nightmare. What do you think the movie is? Tell me what you think the movie is, because this is what's interesting. Go ahead.
So, Summer Camp Nightmare, 87.
Mm-hmm.
Just at a glance, the title, you're thinking a slasher film, Friday the 13th ripoff, right? Fair to say that's
Yes.
assessment just by guessing.
Summer Camp Nightmare.
I'm probably completely wrong that's probably not what the movie's about. Or is
Could
it?
not be farther from the truth.
Okay, all right.
Could not be farther from the truth. Same thing. Summer Camp Nightmare, you assume you're looking sleepaway camp,
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, The Burning, something like that. Not even close.
Especially 87, so they were those type of movies were everywhere.
Yes. So this is based on a book written in the 60s. I wanted to see the name of the book. The name of the book was Jesus.
Jesus was the name of the book?
No.
Gotta read that one.
No, because I'm the writer's name is William Butler, and I'm like, what was the name of it? Now there's a million William Butlers, so I'm getting William Butler who wrote for Disney, William Butler who wrote for
There you go. Prepared as always, Manny.
Yeah, that's it. The Butterfly Revolution is what it was called. So he wrote this in 19 Butterfly Revolution, written in Jesus Christ. Just give me big letters. 1961.
Okay.
Okay, so it's written in 1961. It is about a summer camp. Okay, these kids go to a summer camp. They go there every year. It starts off very earnest, goes to camp type. Kids go to beginning of Sleepaway Camp 3 almost, like kind of some rowdy kids, and they're all going to summer camp. Some of them are the counselors, and some of them are the students, are the kids, the campers. There's a new counselor there. So we have a bully kid, we have a kind of a hero kid, a goody kid, all the archetypes. And there's a new camp counselor, is an older guy played by Chuck Connors.
Okay.
Chuck Connors, you'd recognize him. Probably couldn't guess what movies he was in. Like what was he in? Like he was in a bunch of movies. He was in Tourist Trap. He was in Soylent Green. If you saw his face, you'd be like, I know that guy.
He's like a character actor. I'm assuming.
It up. You're like, I don't know what movies he's in, but I've seen him a million times because he's got one of those faces that you're just like, oh, okay. A very, very particular face. So anyway, so he's the new camp counselor, and he's kind of strict. He's got a bunch of new rules, and it's very, very, almost very religious. No touching each other, no blaspheming, no, but the film doesn't really have a religious bent to it. doesn't have that. It's just really him. He creates a meditation room where campers, he says, where the campers can go if they need time to get away and just kind of relax and get away from all the, the craziness of it. If you just need a place to relax, that will also be where you are sent when you break one of the rules. And all the campers go, wait, what? What do you mean when we break the rules? So it's the, re-education
Okay.
cabin. That's basically, you're going to be locked in there until he decides you're. So anyway, so he does something, and he scares one of the younger kids, and the other counselors. One of the other counselors decides he wants revenge on Mr. Warren is his name. He wants revenge on him. Now again, I'm not making too many spoilers. This is the setup of the film. They tie up Mr. Warren and they put him in the in the meditation room along with the 3 or 4 other adult counselors. And now the older counselors, like the kids who were working the camp, that are supposed to be watching the younger kids, they kind of take over. Okay. And they call it their revolution against him. Now, this is a boys' camp. Across the lake is a girls' camp. They get the girls' camp involved as well, and the girls come, and then this turns into Camp Nowhere.
Okay. So it's like not the counselors, but the kids are kind of rebelling against the adults in the camp. I got you.
So it turns into Camp Nowhere for a little while, right before it turns into Lord of the Flies.
Okay.
And this gets crazy.
Gotta watch this too, man.
Yes,
wow.
That's what I said. It's nothing like you would have thought. So, but it is a Lord of the Flies at summer camp is essentially what this film is. It's probably, Roger Corman's produced a lot of films.
Yeah.
This is in like the top 10 of like the best scripts he's ever produced. Highest like meaning of a film. Like, this is a real film. It's not just some cheap schlocky kind of throw money at it and let's make money back. This is a real movie. Not that those others are not real movies, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's not a typical Roger Corman film.
His career was weird. He would make movies for really cheap just to kind of make a movie and release it. And then sometimes it was like you watch some stuff and there was like great films that came out of it too. So I know what you mean. Yeah.
This is one of the really, really good ones. This is something like I could see Tobe Hooper doing this back then.
Oh, wow.
Like I could see him doing this type of dark drama type film. And really, really, I mean, it's a bit of a victim of the time. It's still a very 80s movie.
Of course.
But
87, it was like, I can imagine what it's like. So.
It's still very 80s, but again, the Lord of the Flies element is strong in this, and you get different factions within it. You get, people have to swear loyalty to the kid who started the revolution and things like that. And he starts really taking control over things that happen in the camp, and he's the dictator.
I gotta watch this, man. There's another
totally
one.
Not what you would have expected.
you're hitting me with movies that I've like this one. I don't think I've ever heard of. Demon Seed. I've seen the cover and I've come across it on Tubi. This one, no, this one's like brand spanking new.
Yeah.
I had never even. Wait, did you say, is this available to stream somewhere?
No, it's just on YouTube.
On YouTube, the YouTube. Yeah. What am I saying?
Just YouTube.
It's not streaming anywhere?
Oh, no, not that I'm aware of. No.
Yeah. All right.
No,
so then,
so this YouTube is kind of prefacing what we talked about.
Right. The laser disc was ported over to YouTube, like you said. So there is a physical release of it, but it's only that laser disc and probably VHS somewhere.
Yeah.
So gotcha.
It's prefacing something me and you have talked about, that we want to do an episode of movies that have gone out of print.
Yeah, that are hard to find.
That are hard to find, that they went out to VHS or something, even DVD, and they disappeared. They're not on streaming. They're just nowhere, you know? And this would be one that I would have talked about, but since we already talked about it, I'm going to have to find some others, because this is just excellent. It's such a good, like, dark, really heavy film.
Yeah. When you sold me with like The Camp, Lord of the Flies, and all that crazy, all the comparisons. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to check
it's
this out
totally
too.
not the slasher
You're
film
gonna have
you
to
thought it
send me
was
that
gonna be.
YouTube link.
Yeah,
I don't condone piracy, but I'm gonna have
it
to.
already exists.
I'm not the one uploading it.
I do
And
have to say, my next film is also one of those films that's just sitting on YouTube.
Manny,
Next one's on there also does not
disappointed.
exist otherwise.
Disappointed in you.
I'm sorry.
Disappointed. You're condoning piracy, man. I'm gonna have to check this one out too. This is another
Yeah.
one that I'm gonna have to put on the watch list and give it a view. All right, my next one.
Yep.
And this was one I think I texted you about, and you were like, you had never seen this. I was like, I saw parts of this with you 20 years ago.
That's where we're going?
Yeah, yes.
Is that
This
where we're
my-
going?
This is my
Okay.
last one. This is
Okay.
my last pick for recently
I
seen.
think it just started pouring again.
Probably. It's disgusting here in New York.
Yes.
So my next movie. So I kind of went into this on an episode of the podcast I recorded that hasn't been released yet, but
Okay.
I'll briefly mention it here. So our challenge of watching 365 movies that we've never seen this year, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch the Hellraiser sequels I have not seen and add them to that list. Because there's a lot of the later sequels.
Well, real quick, which ones have you not seen? Because I'm curious now. Because I got to browbeat
dude.
you over this.
I think 5 on.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Surprisingly, being your friend, I'm shocked that I know. The Hellraiser guy. And whenever I see Pinhead, I think of you.
That's it.
Yeah, nah, dude. So here's the thing. I know about these movies, obviously.
Of course.
And I'm pretty sure I've seen clips and parts of it at your house.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically 2 of them, which is Hellraiser Inferno, which is the one I'm
Yep.
about to talk about, and Hellseeker, which is the next one.
The next
that
one,
I
yeah.
haven't seen yet. I'm gonna watch it probably one day this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing clips of it, but like coming to your house when it was already on.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you were already. It wasn't like I sat and
it's-
watched it.
Yeah, that's totally one of those movies you can't start in the middle. You have no
Exactly.
idea. You're going to have no idea what's going on.
I think I remember one of them you had bought it when I remember it had just come out, I think, and I came over and I think you had. It's one of those situations I think where you just had it on,
Yeah.
and I was like, Ashley Lawrence came back.
That's
And I
part
didn't even-
6.
Yeah, I know. I haven't seen that
Yeah,
one yet. So I was
that's
like,
part 6, yeah.
I've seen clips. Inferno, I had seen the ending, but
Okay.
never because I think I vividly remember when it came out. When we didn't know each other when it came out, but I think you had it on
Yeah.
when I'd come over to your house. So it
Yeah.
was like it was like 2 in the afternoon and you already had it on and I just came over and I saw the last 10 minutes. So I
Yeah.
never actually sat, hit play from
watched.
beginning to end and watched it. So Hellraiser Inferno, here we are.
Here we go.
I'm sure more of these are going to come up. And from what I'm seeing, so I actually lied. I saw the newest one, the remake one that came out last year.
yeah,
But
of
I'm not
course,
really
yeah.
counting that because that came out recently. So
Yeah.
it's like the other sequels because there's like 6 of them that I had never seen. And from what I've seen, like the ones that don't have Doug Bradley, someone else plays Pinhead, another dude, I've never seen them. And I know they're probably terrible, but I'm going to watch them to see how terrible they are. All right.
We'll get to it. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure they'll be popping up in these episodes.
Yeah.
Probably, I'll give my thoughts in these recently seen ones,
Yeah.
like seen episodes that we do on them. But yes, Hellraiser Inferno. I forgot it was Scott Derrickson's like first feature length film as a director, so that was cool. Sinister, Black Phone, like guys, a big time. He even directed a Marvel movie. Not Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Strange, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange he directed. So he's even dabbled in like big, huge Hollywood,
He's a good director.
films. He is great director. And he's always
Tell by
kinda
this movie so much, but
yeah, he's always been like his roots are in horror. So I thought that was cool that he directed a Hellraiser movie. And I was like, all right, let's watch this one. I remember the cover because I know you owned it with Pinhead's face and like yellow hue.
the orange, yellow.
Yeah, orange, yellow hue, and then Inferno. And dude, honestly, it was a good movie. Came out in
not a bad movie at
2000,
all.
which I didn't realize that. I
No.
was like, wow, this movie came out 24 years ago.
Yep.
Shit. And I had watched, so I watched Bloodline before watching Inferno because I had seen Bloodline.
There's no connection.
I know there's no connection in any of these movies at this point until like I think the next one because of Ashley Lawrence's character. But I
and Dean
watched
Winters.
Bloodline. Yeah, I watched Bloodline because I was like, it's been a while. I think the last time I had watched Bloodline was at your house, like
Mm.
together. And I remember it's like Pinhead in space and
I love Bloodline. Oh,
the creation of the box and all that stuff. Like, and he's a toy maker and all that. I remember it. I remember like the ancestors of the dude that created the box and all that
yeah.
stuff. So I remember that one. I enjoyed it. Some of the CG's rough at the end there, but it's a product of 1995 or whenever the hell it came out,
Yeah,
96.
something not even. I think it
Yeah,
was 93 or so.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was something like that.
94.
So I was like, all right, I watched that, and then I said, all right, let's watch Inferno, and I was surprised. It's a fun movie.
It is.
It's a good
cool
movie.
film.
It's like
Cool little detective noir kind of
yeah,
murder, weird
you know.
serial killer thing.
And I will spoil this movie to kind of give my one sentence.
Fucking 24 years old. Spoil the shit.
My
Go for it.
one sentence breakdown of what happens in Hellraiser Inferno. You
I
basically
didn't want to
got-
spoil the other movies because I'm sure those are films nobody has seen. Like
Well,
I'm trying to. I didn't
I'm
want to
sure
spoil
most
them.
people-
This is one that most people who want to see it have
Yeah.
seen it.
Most people have. I'm sure most people like because it's a Hellraiser movie and they want to like watch films in the franchise have probably watched it. I wouldn't say it's on most people's list as like probably actually might be of some people's favorite Hellraiser film because most people love part 1 and 2 and 3, but you know people forget about the rest of them. It's kind of like Candyman. Everyone remembers the first two, maybe even the first one, and then forget that there was even a third movie made for TV. So I feel like Hellraiser kind of is in line with that. But Hellraiser Inferno, basically in a nutshell, you've got, and I forget the actor's name. He was in Nightbreed. Do you know
Craig,
off the top? Craig something
Yeah, Craig.
with an S. Something with an S is his last name. I know him from Nightbreed.
I've been sitting here trying to think of his name the whole time you've been talking, and it has not come to me.
So you know what? It's Craig Schaefer. There you go.
Craig Schaefer. There you go.
I had it in my notes. I didn't want to look at it to try to remember, but no, I had to look at my notes. Craig Schaefer. Yeah. So basically, he is a corrupt, shitty cop. Cocaine.
Yep.
Stealing money from crime scenes, cheating on his wife.
Guy should be hanging out with oh shit. Duh. Howard.
Yes.
Howard. I said Ron Howard, not Ron Howard.
But yes, shitty
not
corrupt
Ron
cop,
Howard.
shitty corrupt cop, banging prostitutes, doing cocaine, never home for his wife and daughter.
Clint Howard.
Yes, there you go. Clint.
He's hanging out with Clint Howard. And
he's hanging out with doing all this horrible shit.
Yep.
And basically what happens is he's on a crime scene, uses and fucks around with the puzzle box. Mm-hmm. He starts seeing the Cenobites, Pinhead. He starts seeing these visions of his parents who were put away in like a home or something, his father. And long story short, you find out because Pinhead in exposition tells him,
got to be here somewhere.
Yeah, this dude's basically in hell. The entire movie. He's trying to solve these murders of this, like these kids, and there's a child, and these fingers are being found at crime scenes. There's a serial killer. And the twist ending, he's in hell. The vision of this serial killer's actually been him the entire time, or I guess a hellish version of him.
Yeah, a hellish version of him.
Pinhead's been setting him up by pretending to be his psychiatrist. He's like almost in like hell purgatory, where he's going to keep reliving this case he's solving. And in reality, it's just he's dead. He's in hell. He's dealing with the Cenobites. And honestly, dude, it's a good entry in the franchise. Like Pinhead is utilized properly because I always hated when Pinhead was kind of he's not a slasher killer. He's never been like a Freddy Krueger. He's more just kind of the puzzle. He's like the person who dictates what's going to happen with the puzzle box and opening it. And
he's the instrument of your destruction.
There you go. There you go. So, he just kind of is the force involved with that, or they, because now it's a they. He's never been a man or a woman technically in the novel, I believe. It's more feminine features than male. But for the sake of these films, it's a he. It's Doug Bradley. And I loved kind of just the story they were telling with this piece of shit cop who got what he deserved by stealing the box. Dude, there's a shot where he steals money from like a corpse, like in the evidence locker before giving the watch. And it's like, and he steals the box. He takes the box, which is why this happens to him, you know?
Yeah.
While he's banging a prostitute, he plays with it in the bathroom. And I'm not talking about, you know what, I'm talking about the box. And I just thought it was a well-made movie.
Maybe
like,
he stuck his dick in the box too.
possibly.
Who knows?
Possibly. There's a lot of guys that like doing that. But you know, I just love the way they utilize the Cenobites. You know, you've got those like two twin, another
The
set
twins
of
are
twin.
awesome. Yeah, the twins are awesome.
You've got the torso Cenobite.
The wire twins, they call them the wire twins.
Because there's another set of twins in Bloodline too.
Yeah, those
with the conjoined
the
twins
mix,
with
yeah.
the head.
I forget what they're called, but yeah,
I
in
forget,
Inferno,
too.
they're the wire twins and the torso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Like I just dug it. I thought it was a well-made movie. And you could tell Scott Derrickson was going to go on to be a better director. He even co-wrote this. It was him and someone else. And it was good. And it got me excited to watch the rest of them, but I have a feeling they're going to just kind of go downhill from here. So you got Hellworld. You've got, I think, Deader is one of them.
Hellseeker is cool.
Yes, Hellseeker.
Hellseeker's Part 6. It's cool. I'm a little disappointed in the ending, but it's cool. It's said Ashley Lawrence and Dean Winter. Part 7, Deader, is one of my favorites of the series. It's with Kari Wuhrer, and she's a reporter who discovers basically like a cult around the box that kind of worships the box and the Cenobites.
Okay.
She's a reporter. It's one of my favorites of the series. Part 8 is Lance Henriksen, and it's easily one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life.
Okay. Can't wait.
It's they do a virtual reality AI
I saw
game.
that.
It's god awful.
It was like around the time the like Matrix sequels came out, I think, is when they released that. I remember. It was like around, so like internet.
It's it's got all that shitty
thing,
CG, but it's not even the CG. It's the acting, and the dialogue is god awful. I think if you were to ask Lance Henriksen about it, he would deny being in it.
What's crazy is I was Googling them. Henry Cavill's in that movie.
Yeah.
Superman.
Oh yes, that's right. Yep.
One of his like earliest roles.
Yep. Henry Cavill's in it.
It's
That's
like,
right.
so
I forgot about that.
I was like, wow, even he is in one of the shitty Hellraiser movies early in his career. So,
this is the worst one, period.
Yeah. I can't wait to see
Hellworld
it.
is easily the worst. 9, I think, is Revelations.
Okay.
Which is where we have the first new Pinhead. And he looks terrible. He looks like he's been stung by bees and he's swelling up.
Oh God.
It looks terrible. The story's decent. I think it's a found footage one, is Part 9.
Okay.
Yes, it's kind of found footage. It's a kid who's videotaping things and he sees, the Cenobites in it or something like that. There's a little more to it. It's an interesting story. Part 10, I actually have not seen.
Oh, okay.
Damnation, right?
I don't know.
I
I have the list
Damnation.
on my phone. I have the watch on my Letterboxd. I
Yeah.
have all of them listed.
That's the only one I have not seen. So go through them, and when you get to Part 10, I'll watch it as well, and we'll do an episode together about that one.
A whole episode.
We'll do that together.
Just that
no,
one.
no, I don't know about a whole episode. You're getting ahead of yourself here, buddy. I don't know. It's going to be that good.
We're going to do a whole haunted haul on that one DVD release of that movie.
Yeah.
I think those are the ones where the Weinsteins were just making them to hold on to the rights.
At that point, sort of. They were Part 9 was supposed to be a reboot, then a whole new thing. It was supposed to reboot it, and it didn't do. And then Part 10 was supposed to reboot it again, and it didn't do that very well. But Part 10, from what I understand, is much better than 9. People said that's better than 9. And then there's the new remake, reboot, sequel, the newest one, which I thought was excellent. But what you're going down, Deader is pretty much the high point. Part 7 is the high point of where you're at right now.
I got one or two more movies, and then I'm going to be very disappointed later on.
Yeah, that's it.
Listen, Inferno.
But look forward to the fact that 8 is as bad as it's going to get, so 9 gets better.
Awesome. Awesome. So
8
there
is,
you go.
Oh God. I will never sit through 8 again.
We'll get into it when I get there. Inferno was good at least.
Yeah,
so
it was cool. It was cool.
Dug it.
If you liked 5, you'll like 6.
Yeah, if you've never watched like some of the later Hellraiser sequels, check Inferno out. It was good. I think I liked it. I like Bloodline, but I think I liked Inferno a little more. It's a little more
Okay.
grounded, which is more my style of
Yeah, it
movie.
is.
So I think that's what even though grounded, I'm using very loose because it's Pinhead and Hellraiser, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. It's a smaller film where Bloodline
Yeah.
is like period pieces, the
Bloodlines, yeah,
future,
it's a
and
big movie.
yeah.
It's a
So,
big movie.
yeah, Hellraiser and Inferno. That's my last film
Nah.
here. I dug it. Rattle off a couple more, and we'll wrap it up here, Manny.
Okay, well, the next one I'd want to. The next one is another one. Again, can't find it anywhere. It disappeared. There's a crappy VHS version of it on YouTube that you can watch because that
How
is it.
crappy
It
we're
doesn't
talking.
like it's really blurry.
Oh God.
It's really blurry. Like, yeah,
Right.
it's a crappy. I mean, it's watchable. It's watchable. It looks like an old used VHS, but it's watchable. It's not one of the worst ones I've seen. Like I've
Okay.
seen, I saw that one movie Scream from 1980.
Yeah.
I started that on YouTube once, and I swear I couldn't see anything. It was so dark you could not see what was happening
What's
on
the
screen.
point of watching it?
Yeah. But there was a 4K of that recently, so there's a good version of it on Tubi, and that movie sucks. So it's boring. It's really
Don't waste
boring.
your time.
No, that's Scream from 1980. Boring. But the one I did watch, which I fucking loved. This is fun. This is a fun movie. I feel like this is somewhere between like shit, like oh, I can't think of it. Slaughterhouse Rock,
Okay.
Mannequin.
Can't go wrong with comparing it to that.
Yeah, I mean, in the feel of
Yeah,
them,
I
mixing
know
the
what you
feel
mean.
of these,
Yeah.
and okay, so it starts off in the 1600s, and we have a witch who's being burned. Okay. And of course, vows, blah, 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 whatever. And then she goes in, and next thing you see, she's dancing at a party, and it's 1987 or so, and she's a short blonde haired, leather jacketed biker babe.
Okay.
She is the reincarnation of this witch who is now going to get her revenge in 1980s New York City.
Oh, wow. All right. That sounds good to me so far.
Yes.
So
It has a badass sound. The songs are great. Like
gotta
when
watch
you
this.
remember you watch Zombie Nightmare, like the soundtrack is fucking awesome.
it's like one of the best parts of that movie.
Yep, same thing. Like Hard Rock Zombies, same thing. The soundtrack is great.
Yeah.
This is another one. It's got a great soundtrack. Really, really fun, cool soundtrack. She is bad. If this movie were remade today, Kristen Stewart would play her.
Ah, okay.
She's got that vibe to her, that feeling, of that, like I said, she's a short, blonde-haired biker babe, and she's a witch. Okay, it's far from perfect, of course, because it's got some of the weirdest characters you'll ever experience in a film. So it's just I can't even describe, just weird. There's one guy where you feel like, why do you even speak? The things he says, like, did he just well, I think the actor might have been on acid, and he was just saying whatever came out of his mouth.
Nice.
when they put him in front of the camera, because he says shit and you're like, the fuck is he talking about?
The director was just like, leave it in. Don't worry about it.
He's racist. He's sexist. He's homophobic. The guy throws everything. He just says shit.
Oh my God.
He just says shit. It's like, what the fuck is going on? What is he talking about? But he's one of the main characters too.
Can't wait to watch this one. I can't wait to see the ridiculousness of this.
So look up the poster of this, Necropolis. If you see the poster, you're going to see the type of film I'm talking about. Okay. And you got her standing, it's an art poster of her standing there leaning on a motorcycle. So it's kind of already got that Fright Night 2 and Vamp kind of feel to it. Yeah. And then in the distance, you see New York City behind, and the moon stuff and everything. And then it looks like zombies coming out of the sewers and ghouls down the street behind them. Because that's kind of what happened. So basically, she's going to get her revenge by sucking the life force out of people in order to bring, I guess, to get ultimate power and all that, but then she gets people she's basically, so when she takes their life force out of them, she forces them to commit suicide.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, and that's how she does it. So
Hmm.
she's forcing suicides. Calling guy
Hmm.
kills, shoots himself, or hangs himself. You know, she's causing people to kill themselves and
Yeah.
then getting stronger off their death.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and then you've got the again. I said Friday Night 2 because I just watched it, but as an apt comparison where you have the two, the man and the young girl and guy who are basically trying to chase her down. You know, and in that style of Fright Night 2, you're not like it's not like the first Fright Night where you're following. Where you're following him through the whole film as he learns things. Fright Night 2, you kind of go back and forth between the vampires and the vampire hunters. This does the same thing evenly. You go back and forth between them trying to figure out what's going on, the detective who's trying to solve these murders who thinks there's something wrong, um, and then her, the witch who's going for getting for her, and you kind of jump between the three of them.
Okay.
You
I see what
know,
you're. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So it bounces around a lot in the plot.
yes, it bounces
You're
around, but
focusing on different characters,
yeah, it's
basically.
very
Yeah.
linear though. It is
Okay.
following piece to piece. It's not like time wise.
Okay.
You know, it is very linear, but there's the one gay preacher or whatever he is that you swear he's gay. I don't know if he's gay, but I think the actor might be.
The character's not, but the
The
actor is.
character, the actor might be. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
really know. But wow, again, the religious shit that comes out of his mouth.
This
The
seems like a
things that
movie that's a product of the time.
it
So, yeah.
100% is, and it's a ton of fun. Like this, you just sit and laugh your ass off, have a few beers, and watch this thing.
I know you texted me about it. I was like, I gotta watch this stupid movie. I gotta watch this stupid
It's
movie.
it is
So
stupid, but I loved every second of it.
I gotta
It
watch it.
just like it like hard like nightmare, zombie nightmare, just like that. It's so terrible, but you love every second of this. You just can't.
Is it a movie we could like cover in the future? You think it's worthy of like a full episode?
If there was, well, if no, only because it's kind of, again, it looks crappy. There's no way
Yeah.
to find it.
There's
There's
no
no, but
release. Yeah. There's
yes, if there
nothing.
was
Yeah.
ever a release of this, 100%, I would go through every second of the release, all the features, everything.
Yeah.
You know, like I have a list on Letterboxd of movies that I feel horror movies that need a restoration. This is on that list. They need to fix it up and re-release it.
Someone
It's,
snag it and restore it, man. Somebody
you
out there.
know,
Necropolis.
Necropolis. It's such a crazy, ridiculous, stupid movie. But
Oh
God, did I
man.
love the shit for a film. Like, what are the reviews right here? For a film about a six-breasted telepathic witch.
Amazing. Oh man. That right there. Perfect.
Yeah,
I'm guessing perfectly describes the movie. So
it really, I mean, that's what she is. You know, people, oh yeah, it gets a little sexual at times and it's kind of weird but it's kind of cool. And
six breasted. She puts the girl in
she's got
total
nipples and
recall.
she,
Total
yeah,
recall to
no.
shame. She puts the total recall three boobed girl to shame. You
Uh,
got anything else before we
I
wrap it
could
up
rattle
here?
off I watched Tenement finally. We
Okay.
talked about Tenement on the last one. I watched Tenement. It is
Great
very
movie.
great movie, very similar to Siege.
Yes.
You know,
Told you.
very similar. Yes,
Yeah.
100%, very similar. Darker but lighter because it's kind of crap.
Yes.
But
I
it's
never said
Roberta
it was an
Findlay.
amazing movie, a great movie,
No, it was.
well made movie. It's just
I
fun.
I enjoyed the hell out of it. I really
Yes.
liked Tenement. It got fucked up at some points.
Yeah.
Got really like, whoa, where's this movie
Yeah, I
going?
told you that. I
Jesus.
was like, it gets brutal in some points.
Yeah,
So
you know. So I saw Tenement finally, so that was really cool. Uh, Satan's Cheerleaders is another one I watched that does not exist anywhere. This is from the 70s. Um, this movie is a weird. It's a weird amalgamation of things.
okay.
1977 with Yvonne DiCarlo. So I know right there you're sold.
Lily Munster's in this
That's
one.
it. Yes.
Gotta watch that.
Right there, you're sold. Again, John Carradine, John Ireland, Jack Crucian, a couple of people you would notice. So the film is, first things first, it is very sarcastic. The whole
Okay.
movie is tongue in cheek. Okay, it's a huge, it's a big statement on on feminism
Okay.
and misogyny. Okay. So the movie is told like the feel of it is very happy, plucky, upbeat, kind of like a 1930s kind of those warning movies like Reefer Madness,
Yeah.
where everyone's kind of bouncing around and then, oh no, the devil comes into my life. And it's very much like that. It's a group of cheerleaders who are going to okay, I'm going to just read the description. A janitor at a local high school is actually the scout for a coven of Satanists who were on the lookout for a virgin to sacrifice. So that is the one story. Then we have the cheerleading squad. One day he kidnaps the cheerleading squad to use them for their rituals. However, unbeknownst to the devil worshippers, one of the cheerleaders is actually a witch and has plans of her own for the Satanists. Now,
wow.
Yes. Now this
that cult's unlucky.
Yes, but Yvonne DiCarlo is one of the heads of the satanic cult.
Ah, okay.
Kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. That's good casting right there.
So the cheerleaders are as empty-headed as they can get.
Okay.
Like you could not write characters that have less thoughts in their brain. Unless you were talking about the cheerleading coach, who is probably the dumbest human being who has ever walked the face of the planet, and it's hilarious. That's why I say it's a comment on misogyny and feminism. It's all about like the cheerleaders are kind of like, this is what you picture cheerleaders to be, just dumb and blonde, and they just bounce their heads around and they don't have a thought in their head, and they're always on display showing being sexual, but not like intentional. They just can't help it. Because they're young and they just want some dick. I'm not exaggerating. Like that is the message that they're sending with this film, that the cheerleaders are just dumb sluts who just want dick. But they are the most resourceful, work together group of women.
Okay.
Like that's where the feminism comes in, and where it's like, here's your view of them, but here's how they actually are. Like, regardless of how dumb you may think they are, they're gonna survive and they're gonna work together. So it's got that 30s kind of warning film with a 60s, 70s Satan cult film. Okay.
Sounds good.
Very campy. It's crappy, but it's great. It's
another like bad cool plot.
Yes, it is a cool plot. Yeah. It's another bad but good movie.
You sold me with, it's basically like witches versus Satan worshippers. That's what it sounds like to me.
But only one witch. There's only one of them is a witch, and none of them know she's a witch.
But nonetheless, it's like a witch cheerleaders against a group of like, that's what I'm picturing from the plot.
The audience knows she's a witch. The audience knows it, but the cheerleaders don't know it yet.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's a lot of like little bits, and it has its moments where it just kind of dips, but it's still a cool film. And it's one of those that like, people should probably see this. If this got a remake today, it would be tough to remake this today. This would be one of the movies where people would scream about woke Hollywood. Meanwhile, the fucking film is 50 years old,
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's, there are certain things that are of, like, we said it before, of the time, where there's certain things that would never get made today, because some of the dialogue and some of the things that the plot itself is just not what audiences are used to in 2024.
And the political commentary. Doing the political commentary today would be probably so heavy-handed, it would just kind of ruin the humor of the whole film, because it's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
I see what you're saying.
So yeah, Satan's Cheerleaders, find a crappy version on YouTube. Final film I'll go through real quick, Blue Hour. It is a found footage film. I think I watched it on Tubi or Shudder or something. It's available.
Yeah.
Okay. Blue Hour, the disappearance of Nick Brandreth. It is a found footage film.
This one.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either. I got a recommendation from someone on TikTok who posted about it, and I was like, that sounds interesting. There's the one creator on TikTok, I follow her. She does a lot of found footage films. I sent you a link to her.
Yeah.
We're not going to spoil who she is, because who knows? Maybe we'll get her on the show one day. That would be cool.
Maybe
we'll get her on the show one day. But she covers a lot of found footage films. And so I'm always, because I love found footage, so I'm always following her. I want to see, what did she watch? What does she recommend? And she recommended this one. It is a horror film with a lot of kind of sci-fi elements to it as well. It is about a girl whose father went missing 10 years ago. Now she's like a filmmaker. She's a documentarian. So she gets her crew together to go to, there's some campers went missing in this place, and they're going to go to this place as well. And somehow it connects to her father being missing. So she's going to make a documentary on this whole thing, and they get embroiled in what happened to those kids. There is, I don't want to spoil it simply because it is a really cool film and it has a lot of surprises, but again, sci-fi. So there's some
What year did this come out again?
20, what did I say? What year was this? Very recent.
I'm assuming it's a more contemporary film. It came out in the last few years. Okay, it sounds like it. So,
shit, where the hell is it? Blue Hour, 2023. Very recent.
Last year.
Yeah,
okay.
last year. Yeah. Last year. Some of the dialogue is what it is, and the last, like the ending goes in a weird direction. So you're either going to like it or you're not going to, because it gets kind of out there, but, I really liked the way they told the story. It has that kind of Benson Moorhead feel to it.
Okay.
If you've watched it, if you've ever seen any of their films,
I think I know what you're talking about.
I think
rattle off one of their movies.
I think they did. Did they? No, they didn't do Spring, did they? No, they didn't do Somewhere in the Dirt.
Spring I loved. So,
yeah, no, I don't think they did Spring. Somewhere in the Dirt, that came out.
Oh, I don't think I watched that one.
That came out last year.
Okay.
Shit. I watched another film that they just produced. I was at Overlook. It was a film that they produced that I watched. That was kind of cool. I
gotta check. I don't think I'm familiar with them. I gotta check out their stuff. Even this movie, I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, Spring. They did Spring.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So then Spring I love.
That's probably they did Spring.
Out of their movies,
Somewhere in the Dirt. The Endless, Moon Knight. They did that.
Oh yeah, okay.
They did that one. The Endless Synchronic, which is on HBO, which is excellent as well. Okay. I think that's probably their biggest budget film.
Okay.
Synchronic, and that's with who was the cast of this? Anthony Mackie.
Oh, Marvel guy, the flying Marvel guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Anthony Mackie's
in
name.
it.
Yeah.
And Jamie Dornan.
Okay.
I gotta check it out. Them. Yeah, you'd recognize a few, but that's their biggest budget. That one's on HBO.
Okay.
And Tubi and Peacock, and that one's kind of all over the place. But yeah, check out their films. They are very like high concept sci-fi, but they can do it. They do it on a super low budget. Like something in the dirt. It's called. I bought the Blu-ray of that last year, and it's kind of a time travel-y sci-fi film, but it never leaves the apartment.
Oh, okay. I love shit like that, so I gotta check it out.
They do that high concept sci-fi in limited locations.
Okay.
They do. Yeah, so you'd probably dig their stuff just because it's like, wow, this is really different. And then they have two movies, Resolution and The Endless, which kind of go together. The Endless was first. Resolution was first, and it's super low budget, and that's done like a found footage film. Endless is like part 2, but I actually think it works better if you watch The Endless first.
Okay, I gotta watch it. These are all new to me. I gotta mark these down to check them out. So
yeah, look those up. Look up Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson. Their films. Again, you liked Spring. Spring is excellent.
Yeah, Spring was great. That's probably the only one I'm most familiar with. Yeah. Like out of all their, that's probably their only film I've seen. I guess at this point, it sounds like probably, so.
Yeah. They only have like 6 films or so.
Okay.
Yeah,
only don't 6. Have only 6 films.
Well, it's 6 films in the last 15 years.
Yeah. So I get it.
Something. What was their first one? Yeah, Resolution was 2012.
Okay, all right then.
Yeah. So yeah, every 2-3 years.
Sounds cool.
Every 2-3 years. They produce the other one. If anybody you want to know this one, the one that they produced, I just watched. What the hell? Where the hell's the name of it? Oh, it's not even listed here. So I can't remember the name of it. I saw it at the festival, and I can't remember the name of it. Things will be different.
There you go.
Things will be different.
I gotta check it out. I have not seen any of their more recent films. Then Spring was the last and only film I've watched of theirs, so I'm gonna have to give it a watch and check out this new one as well. So, or this
Yes.
newer one, I guess.
Oh, the Blue Hour.
Yeah.
That's not one of theirs. It
Oh,
just
I thought it
has
was one
that.
of theirs.
No, it has the
Oh,
same feel.
feels like one. I get it
Yeah,
now. Okay.
feels like
That
one of
threw
their
me
movies
off.
that I was trying to compare it. Like, so
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what spring feels like. That
Yes,
really
yes.
weird. It has
Yeah.
that feeling.
I'm gonna check it out. A
Yeah,
lot of good recommendations, Manny.
yeah,
Manny's
dude.
even for the listeners, you're like hitting out even movies I haven't seen. You're always texting me like we'll talk before we do one of these, and we've only done 2 of these recently seen
Yeah.
films. And it's like we always put in 1 or 2 movies that are out now, and then some of the more
Yeah.
deep cut stuff. And it's like, oh, wow, there's like literally all 4 or 5 of these. I have not seen any of these movies. And you know what? You're doing better at the challenge than I am right now.
Dude,
So
do you
there
know how much
go.
I was struggling last year? Like
I know.
I found a rhythm now. I found a rhythm
Yeah.
to do it. And that's why I watch so many of these movies on YouTube. They're easy to just leave it on while I'm at work.
I think I'm
You
gonna
know?
pick up in the next month or so. I'll
You will.
pick up some steam. So right now I'm in a lull, but it's coming back up real quick. You know what I mean?
Dude,
So,
check my letterbox and just go through the list I have, and you'll see some cool
Yeah.
films. I review all of them too, even if
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
short reviews.
yeah.
So you
like I
can see
said,
if they're good or not. But
and this is gonna be our progress through that journey this year
It
for
is.
2024. So
dude,
we'll
I
see
like
how-
it. This
it's
is fun.
It's fun. It's fun to just talk shit about movies. So hopefully all you guys listening
Mm-hmm.
and whoever watches this after the fact or watched live, whatever, you enjoyed it. There's our
Yep.
second recently seen. We'll probably do another one of these in the future. I don't know if next month's live will be this. We might change it up from time to time. So we'll see what happens. But be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Haunted Hangover. Head over to hauntedhangover.com for links to everything, including our Patreon page, where you can get early access to our normal episodes and more spooky bonus content, which I've got some stuff planned for the next few months. That's exciting and should be a good time over there on Patreon. Rate and review us.
Yep.
Be greatly
Comment,
appreciated.
follow, all that. Yep.
Comment, follow, all that. All that's good stuff. And as always, remember, the best cure for a hangover is...
More booze.
Catch you guys later. Happy Memorial Day.
Happy
Dream
Memorial
Scenario. I haven't seen that one yet.
I finished this right before we came on.
Good night, guys. Bye.
These are gummies. Dream scenario gummies. Edibles.
Oh, Manny, we all know what Manny's doing later. Bye, guys.